What's up, watchers? Will here with some DC news for you, and thanks to Splash Report, we appear to have some leaked details about the Titans solo series that is coming to the DC Universe streaming platform later this year. So, there's a lot to dig in, so let's get right to it with this very long and thorough synopsis. The beginning of which states that the pilot of Titans is centered around three heroes, Robin, Raven, and Starfire, played by Brenton Thwaites, Tegan Croft, and Anna Diop, respectively. But it begins with a flashback. The Flying Grayson Circus. The flashback is used as both a primer to the backstory of Dick Grayson, Robin, and an introduction to Rachel Roth, Raven. It does a respectable job at making the audience understand Robin's character, akin to that of Bruce Wayne in the Batman films. It also gives a robust taste of what's to come with Raven, highlighting her unstable psyche and untapped power. However, the rest of the pilot is structured very much around the individual heroes. Each first act begins with a chyron separating the protagonist from each other. In this sense, it could be considered similar to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where each hero is given an introductory film to get the audience invested and are then brought together in an ensemble movie. This type of format for this show is incredibly interesting, as it seems like we won't be seeing the Titans united right from the get-go. What brings them together is still unknown at this point, but it very likely centers on Raven and her uncontrollable psychic abilities. Rumors have swirled for months that the series would build up to a final showdown with her demonic father Trigon, which certainly would be a big enough threat to unite the team of heroes. The synopsis also sheds some light on those three character arcs we see within the first episode, starting with Robin. According to the leak, Robin is jaded and bitter after a childhood of fighting crime. He hates Batman and is afraid of becoming him, and has struck out on his own as a detective, while still moonlighting as a masked crime fighter. Interestingly enough, he isn't Nightwing yet, and he still wears the Robin costume despite his resentment for Bruce. The idea that Dick hates his adopted father/mentor isn't a new one. It's kind of the whole reason why Dick becomes Nightwing in the comics too. But this focus on the trauma that he must have endured as a child, teenager, and young adult as Bruce's ward is a new and interestingly raw and realistic take on the character. It kind of takes those jokes about the idea of a billionaire adopting a young boy for crime fighting to a new, much darker place. Starfire. While in the animated series and recent comic runs Starfire is portrayed as fierce but ditzy and aimless, it seems like that this incarnation is going to be a badass, with more than a few secrets of her own. Reportedly, she speaks multiple languages and has multiple passports, and is also on the run from armed men for reasons as yet unknown. It does sound like she'll have some fire blasting abilities, so they might be morphing her powers a little bit, but it seems like the pilot leaves more questions than answers with regards to her character. But the most interesting part of Splash Report's leak is that the series is definitely not for kids. It starts by saying, before we get into the individual character breakdowns for the first episode, I think it's important to discuss the tone of the show. Titans is very much not a series for children. There are multiple F-bombs and S-bombs, among other swear words that make it seem like they're going for an R rating. Moreover, the action is brutal with bone snaps, people being shot, burned, and mangled. It's a departure from the more joyful tone that many associate with the group, but it's a departure that I feel is for the best. It's refreshing to see a DC show that's no holds barred instead of shying away from the more mature aspects of the mythology. It's not as adult as something like Jessica Jones, but it's far darker than anything DC has put out on the small screen thus far. What separates Titans from some of Marvel's darker shows is the fact that it doesn't ever really aim to be realistic. Titans doesn't shy away from the big fantastical spectacle, and instead embraces the comic roots of the characters. We can have a realistic Robin fight scene, but we can also have Starfire blasting away goons with a burst of fire. It's a mixture of realism and fantasy that I think works great. The author over at Splash Report also does give context as to why we see Starfire dressed the way she was in those candids. So for reference point, apparently this is the night after a disco party. That's why she looks like she's straight out of the 1970s, because essentially that was the theme that they were going for that segment of the episode. So yes, that was a lot to take in, and that's only the first episode, not even getting into Hawk, Dove, or Beast Boy yet, it seems. I'm fine with this, honestly, since Raven seems like a central focus to the plot, with Robin and Starfire being more the leaders and focus of the team. Oddly enough, I don't mind the tone being a little darker here, because as long as it embraces the character's comic roots, I think it can still work, which is something Arrow and the DCEU have kind of struggled with, in my opinion. All that really matters is that you get the essence of the character right. And the details make this show sound like a potentially very, very interesting watch. Also, I'm glad they gave some context behind these Starfire candids, and honestly, they should have released some promotional photos of her rather than Robin, considering she's the one with the controversy around her. But what do you think? Do you like what they're going to be setting up with this new Titans show? Are you excited, or are you just going to skip out and wait till Young Justice Outsiders comes out? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, Hybrid Network. Also, consider checking out our website and hit that bell to be notified of new content. I'm Will, and I'll see you next time.